Welcome. My name is Bob Schechterly of Agilysys, and I will be your host today. Thank you for joining to learn about a very hot hospitality topic, AI's impact and use cases in the hotel industry. Today's webinar is being presented jointly by Agilysys and Duetto with guest speaker Larry Fretz of Infotech Research. Let me start with a little bit about Larry. Mr. Fretz is a highly accomplished executive with over 20 years of expertise in the casino, hotel, and integrated resort industries. As VP Industry Research and Senior Managing Partner Gaming and Hospitality at Infotech Research Group, he leads industry research and advisory operations, offering invaluable insights on digital business, IT strategies, industry trends, and core technology to organizations worldwide. With a portfolio of major gaming and hospitality companies, Larry is a trusted advisor, delivering exceptional results and value through best-in-class IT and business research, advisory services, and consulting. His successful track record as VP IT and CIO at Palms Casino, the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas, and Niagara Casinos underscores his ability to align technology with business needs, modernize infrastructure, optimize guest experience, streamline operations, and drive significant EBITDA improvements. But before we get to Larry's AI research and insights, Rohith Corey, SVP Corporate and Global Product Strategy at Agilysys, and Tim Kennedy, Senior Director of Sales at Duetto, will each begin with brief company overviews. Then, following Larry's presentation, Rohith and Tim will join him in a panel discussion around the topic. Lastly, we will open it up to attendee Q&A. Thank you and enjoy. Rohith, over to you.
Thank you, Bob, and welcome everybody to our webinar on AI impact on hotels. Larry, thank you again for sharing your expertise with us today. Agilysys is a 100% hospitality-focused global provider of software solutions to the hospitality industry. We are on a mission to provide our customers with the right set of tools that enables them to make personal profitable. We do this by providing a comprehensive suite of solutions that are built on a modern microservices architecture, allowing our customers to build a best-of-breed solution set while simplifying their technology landscape. Our solution set is anchored by our three core solution portfolios: our food and beverage solutions portfolio, anchored by our world-class POS, InfoGenesis; our hospitality and leisure solutions portfolio, anchored by our PMSs; and our inventory and procurement solutions portfolio, anchored by our inventory and procurement solutions, eTech and Stratmoran. Built around these core anchor solutions are a whole suite of best-of-breed solutions that touch every aspect of guest interaction, from a booking engine that allows for an entire itinerary, including non-room attributes, to be booked, a mobile check-in, check-out solution with digital keys, and an activity management piece to manage, sell, and price any activity that you have to offer. We offer a world-class spa, golf, and sales and catering product that are powering some of the most complex operations in the country today. Our F&B solution is an omni-channel solution, providing your employee-facing terminal, your mobile ordering, self-ordering kiosks, kitchen display systems, and digital menu boards, all as part of a single integrated platform. To ensure that your employees across various teams are working on a single pane of glass, we offer a service optimization product that brings all of your various departments on the same page. We continue to remain payment agnostic, supporting various payment partners across the globe and introducing new methods of payment, including wallets, QR code-based payments, and third-party payments. This modular but well-integrated suite of solutions allows our customers to provide a personalized experience right at the last point of interaction. All of these solutions help you to bring all the data that is generated within your ecosystem accessible through modern APIs that can integrate and interact with third-party partners across the globe. Our go-to-market approach is based on providing choice to our customers. The choice to be either on-premise, having all the systems on your own data lake or your data center, or to be on a SaaS system. but get access to the same cutting-edge innovation and state-of-the-art technology. The choice to build a best-of-breed ecosystem of solutions, and ultimately the ability to drive a high return on experience by delighting guests, retaining employees, and growing margins. With that, let me turn you over to Tim, my friend Tim from Duetto.
Thanks, Rohit, and welcome to today's webinar, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Tim Kennedy, and I'm one of the sales directors here at Duetto. Duetto is a modern cloud-based revenue strategy platform designed to help hotels optimize every booking opportunity to achieve greater revenues and profitability. We do this by providing a powerful and easy-to-use set of tools to knowledgeable revenue management professionals that enables them to create and execute profitable revenue strategies. Duetto is at the forefront of dynamic pricing, having pioneered the concept of open pricing, which allow hoteliers to price and yield all channels, segments, room types, and offers independently. Our platform consolidates and normalizes all of the data required to make optimal pricing and inventory decisions, then provides the control to implement those decisions across your distribution landscape. Over 5,000 hotels in more than 60 countries around the world use Duetto to outperform their comp set, with an average RGI increase of 12%. With over 40 PMS integrations, including every PMS provided by Agilysys, Duetto is used by a wide range of hotels of all types, such as hostels, motels, 4- and 5-star hotels, boutique hotels, and destination resorts. As many of you probably know, one of the services provided by Hotel Tech Report is a repository of verified reviews of hospitality software products. These reviews are a key metric used to select winners of HTR's annual Hotel Tech Awards. Other criteria include integration capabilities and customer support. Duetto is proud to have won this award as the top spot in the RMS category for both 2022 and 2023. A consistent theme among Duetto's reviews is our focus on innovation, and much of the innovation happening in the hotel tech ecosystem today is around AI. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to Larry to explore these trends in more detail.
Thanks, Tim. I'm Larry Fretz, Senior Managing Partner and Vice President Industry Research at Infotech Research Group. And today I'll be speaking about the role of AI to rev up revenue. Infotech was founded in 1997, and we produce unbiased and highly relevant research to help CIOs and IT leaders and business leaders make strategic, timely, and well-informed decisions. We partner closely with IT teams within, in this case, gaming and hospitality, to provide everything they need, from actionable tools to analyst guidance, ensuring they deliver measurable results for their respective organizations. The Gaming and Hospitality Research Center was founded in 2014 and was the first to write technology research and best practices specific to the industry. We support our members through a wide variety of services, such as do-it-yourself tools, analyst calls, and guided implementations, through to workshops and benchmarking services and consulting. So let's just pause for a moment and take a look and reflect on the post-COVID state of hospitality and the challenges that creates for us as hoteliers. The first is really around the revenue growth and profitability. What this means is that in the post-COVID environment, really there's an evolution of how we measure success and how that has shifted from just focusing on average daily rates and RevPAR to really emphasizing the importance of maximizing revenue for every available room. Secondly, within this revenue growth and profitability challenge and priority area is, we find ourselves navigating through complex sales and distribution channels, grappling with the lack of differentiation between different bookings and those from OTAs, and adapting to the significant rise in online retail bookings. And thirdly is, and interestingly, the pandemic has also upended our reliance on historical data. meaning we need to become more agile and responsive to current in-market trends and customer behaviors. If we look at the second area of opportunity and challenge in the post-COVID world, is really about operational efficiency and technology adoption. One of the most startling facts from recent research is that only 4% of the world's hotels use revenue management software. This statistic really underscores a broader issue, that our industry's hesitancy to embrace automation and new technologies. And additionally, and alongside this, there's a pressing need to eliminate low-value tasks and reevaluate staffing models, ensuring that our teams are skilled, adaptable, and can provide the high-quality service guests expect in a very challenging hiring and retention environment. Thirdly, if we look at the guest satisfaction and value perception, as hoteliers, our guests are obviously at the heart of everything we do. Today, our customers are demanding more than just a bed for the night. They seek value in every dollar spent and want assurance that they're receiving the best possible deal. And so it's up to us to really ensure that every guest interaction, whether direct or via third-party platforms, communicates this value clearly and provides an unparalleled guest experience. And really, just to sum up this slide in general, is that as we steer through these challenges, the path forward requires a blend of innovation and adaptability, and really a relentless focus on guest satisfaction. So what does that actually look like? What does that innovation look like? And so if we, as a research firm, we do an environmental analysis of adjacent industries, and then we layer in some strategic foresight. And as a result of that, we see a lot of opportunities. Firstly, if we look at WeWork, which may not often be seen as a competitor to hoteliers, but that does represent an opportunity. As we consider the co-working model that's epitomized by WeWork, we see a unique alignment for hotels, because hotels by nature already cater to short-term stays with adaptable spaces and possess very sophisticated online booking systems. We have infrastructure like high-speed internet, business centers, and of course, impeccable customer service. And so our hotelier strengths is in catering and event spaces to seamlessly integrate with the needs of the modern workspace user, really turning our facilities not just into places to stay, but places of productivity and collaboration. Secondly, if we look at Airbnb, often again, very seen as a large competitor to hotels, the traditional hotel model. But in this fast evolving travel landscape, really the lines between traditional hotels and platforms like Airbnb are blurring more than ever. And both offer accommodation, customer service, and online booking. But what makes Airbnb stand out is its personal touch, unique accommodations, and community connections. So for hotels to compete and innovate, it's not just about imitating Airbnb, but embracing its strengths while leveraging our own hoteliers' strengths. Imagine a hotel experience, if you will, with rooms that tell a local story, pricing that understands the guest's needs, and a sense of community that makes every guest feel like a local. Thirdly, from a similar adjacent market learning opportunity is Uber. And so when we think of dynamic pricing, our minds often go to companies like Uber and Lyft, which adjust prices in real time based on immediate demand. So now hotels aren't strangers to dynamic pricing, though. But we've long adjusted our rates for seasons, events, and corporate bookings. And many of us use revenue management systems to suggest daily rate changes based on historical data and market forecasts. The key difference, speed and sophistication. To truly emulate the on-demand pricing models of rideshare giants, hotels need to adopt real-time data analytics, allowing prices to shift instantly in response to current market conditions and actual guest booking patterns. It's about merging our current practices with cutting-edge technology to achieve optimal revenue while maintaining guest satisfaction. There's some challenges, though. If what you can see here is that our modern hotel environment is no longer about mere bricks and mortar or physical check-in and check-outs. It's about dynamic pricing, digital identities, online reputation management, and intelligent room assignments. But each hotel, whether a boutique establishment or a sprawling resort, now relies on an amalgamation of complex technology solutions, as you can see on the screen here. These include property management systems, customer relationship platforms, and central revenue management, and many, many more. The challenges stemming, though, from this siloed data sources are multifold. The first is that you lose that unified guest view. When data is trapped within these isolated systems, hoteliers lose the ability to see that 360-degree view of our guests. And this limits our capacity to personalize experiences, offer tailored promotions, and recognize loyalty. Operational efficiencies. You have data in multiple systems. So now there's manual data reconciliation between these systems, and that's very time-consuming. Delayed decision-making. So real-time informed decisions require instantaneous data insights. And when you have siloed data, achieving such insights obviously becomes a challenge, and slowing down the hotelier's strategic actions and options. And then the fourth challenge with this environment is really just revenue leakage. A disjointed revenue management system can lead to missed revenue opportunities, whether it's failing to adjust room rates in response to demand, or not identifying upselling opportunities. Siloed data can have a direct impact on the bottom line. When we then take these challenges and we look at these opportunities, and then we layer it and combine it with trends that we've written about and published over the last year, and certainly in the post-COVID timeframe, it identifies the opportunities here. And so what we try to do is imagine those possibilities that spring from this analysis and this research, and by doing this deliberate exploration, we're able to see what that future competitive landscape looks like or may evolve to for hoteliers. And so what we have here are four emerging trends. The first is about hyper-personalization. So this is the transition from traditional, certainly direct mail and email, and just more of the one-way interaction. This is about promoting and digital marketing to what I call a segment of one, being able to be laser focused on what that guest at that time needs based on all the data, all the historical data that we have. The next one is about big data, which obviously will help layer in and support some of these trends. So there's sort of a stacked trend approach. So big data is about breaking down those data silos that we just talked about. And leveraging and exposing this view to analytics and the systems. The third one is about advanced wireless. So whether it be 5G, soon to be 6G, or Wi-Fi 6 with Wi-Fi 7 on the horizon, advanced wireless is a key enabler for a lot of the direction that we're forecasting. Not just because customers and guests are going to demand it, but because of the digital enablement and the data it's going to provide to us as hotelier operators. And then lastly, the other key emerging trend is about APIs and integration. In order to unlock and enable all this data, we need APIs and open APIs and integrations to really make all of this work. And back to the key theme of this presentation today, that all is needed to unlock the value of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So let's dive into what AI actually is. So generative AI, this is the ChatGPTs of the world and the Bards, is really an innovation in machine learning. And so if we start from the bottom, the yellow square here, and build up, artificial intelligence is really just that field of computer science that focuses on building systems that really imitate human behavior. That's that foundational level of artificial intelligence. Then within that, you have machine learning, which is really an approach where the AI system is instructed to search for patterns in a data set. So again, that data theme is critically important. But what machine learning does is it makes predictions based on that data and that data set. And the new headline grabbing and our view is industry transforming opportunity is generative AI. And this is a form of machine learning, but in a response to prompts. So it's more conversational. And the key difference here is that it generates new outputs based on the data it was trained on. And so, everyone tends to focus and gravitates towards ChatGPT or Bard, but it can also do audio, it can do visual, create imagery, it can actually create code, and of course, text. So a lot of potential to create new from existing data is what generative AI is. And of course, within the industry, a lot of your peers are already embracing AI as being very promising to their organization. So Brian Kirkland, CIO at Choice Hotels, has a perspective recently in 2023 about taking the power of generative AI and tie it to a curated data set within your hotel, and then merging it with additional data sets. And then what you're able to do is leverage that opportunity to really differentiate your hotel and your service delivery to them. You also have Jacob Messina, who's SVP Technology and Innovation at MCR Hotels, who really is identifying that at MCR Hotels, it's going to be a big implication, a big change for them. Kelly Smith, CDO at MGM Resorts, is looking at assessing a lot of different AI. And then John Catling, who was previously the Director of Global Data Architecture for Las Vegas Sands, again, there's a lot of exciting opportunities of leveraging data and generative AI and AI in general to really interact with that. So this is here and now, and your competitors are already evaluating generative AI within their respective organizations. So what does this look like if we were to bring this all together? So we have the challenges that we started about: revenue growth and profitability, operational efficiency and technology adoption, as well as guest satisfaction and value. Those are the challenges. Then when we look at possible disruptors within the space that tend to be able to move a little bit more with a little bit more agility and nimbleness than traditional hotels, such as co-working spaces, redefining hospitality, and dynamic pricing. When you then bring this down, looking at the core technology and layering in the disruptive trends that we're seeing, this is all powered by generative AI. And so what does that mean? How does this actually rev up the revenue for the hotelier? And so out of all of this, we see three key disruptions that are going to drive revenue and change within the hotel landscape. The first is the concept of conversational digital booking. The second is dynamic pricing. And then the third is attribute-based selling. And so what I'm just going to do is go through these next and provide some examples of this to really bring these opportunities to life for you. So conversational digital booking. So this is an example that I did a few months ago where what I wanted to do is I was asking ChatGPT and Bard for, I want to book a trip. And what you can see here are the different versions of this. So the first one in the left-hand column is I interacted with the chatbot at the Cosmopolitan, and I asked it some questions. And you can see the results in the lower left about, I'd like to make a reservation, and it passes me off to a 1-800 number to call and make a reservation. Not very, I mean, certainly conversational, but not very helpful to me because I didn't want to call the hotel. The second in that middle area is me interacting with ChatGPT about wanting to book a hotel and plan an itinerary. And you can see how it actually walks all the way through. And ultimately, of course, it also said, call the hotel. But you can see that it actually provided more information about the hotel that I, as a potential traveler, would find useful. And then the second one with the image is from Google Bard. So you can see that it actually provided an image as an example. The third is that I wanted to plan an entire itinerary on the right-hand side there. And you can see it actually broke it down into morning, afternoon, day, etc. And so this is only like 6 months old. And so you can see the potential, and our position is that this is going to completely disrupt the traditional way of booking a room. Many guests are going to be shifting away from the traditional click next, I want to book a room, here's my dates on a web screen or a mobile app. It is going to be conversational. It is easier for me to interact, speak, or type to a chatbot to say, book a room at this property on this date and time, than the traditional click, 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 click. So this is a huge disruption that we're forecasting coming in the next 3 to 5 years. And is going to change and drive more revenue and upsell opportunities as a result of it. The next example is about dynamic pricing. And this is where, similar to Uber and Lyft, you're able to modify the pricing up and down in real time. And we will go one step further to say that this is actually going to be targeted to specific guests. So if you're a member of a loyalty program and I have all this data about you and your booking patterns, your spending patterns, your just everything about you, I'm going to now be able to leverage that to give you a specific price. So the days of booking or setting a revenue, a room rate for this date, this time, this room, is going to fundamentally change to be much more focused on who is actually booking that room. And of course, this is going to need a lot more data. But the key piece to this is that you need, a person cannot do this. You need a system that is powered by generative AI that is actually going to create that dynamic price versus a machine learning or an AI tool that is simply going to predict or recommend a price. Generative AI will, in the coming years, actually create that price for that room rate, I should say, for the guest versus just predicting and suggesting room rates. And that's going to drive additional revenue because of all the additional data points available to maximize the room rate. The last use case for generative AI is about attribute-based selling. And this is just an example here where we need to get away from this concept of I'm just selling a room. There is so much additional revenue left, out the door, if you will, by hoteliers. And so attribute-based selling allows us to sell, hey, if I want a balcony or I want to have a particular view and orientation of my room, I'm going to charge a premium for that, and I'm going to be transparent about it. And I'm going to let the customer, the guest trying to book the room, to then add on the additional items. Very similar to what's gone on in the airline industry, but being able to sell the specific attributes of a room versus just a room. And this is a complete change to how we traditionally package and price our room rates. And again, the challenge with this is the amount of effort and time it takes a person to do this versus a generative AI tool that can do this dynamically is really night and day. And so that's why our view of generative AI and these use cases is so instrumental to being able to move forward on this. Is it just has the power and the speed, the data to be able to do this automatically. And so just to close up, there's a lot of challenges in the hospitality industry. There's a lot of competitors or perceived competitors that we can actually learn from and incorporate into our business models. All of this is empowered across our technology stack through data and the application of generative AI to that. And then that unlocks 3 specific use cases for the industry: conversational digital booking, dynamic pricing, and attribute-based selling. And with that, what I'd like to do is bring Rohith and Tim back into the conversation for some fireside chat and some Q&A. All right, so let's dive in. So throughout the presentation, I was talking a lot and emphasizing about the need for data and the source of data for AI. Rohith and Tim, how do you believe source data impacts AI for hotels, and what are you doing within your respective systems to enable that?
And that's a great point, Larry. And one of the examples you spoke about where Bard was kind of suggesting your itinerary for your trip to Las Vegas. It's interesting that we don't know how that was suggested. How did that particular hotel turn up on the top versus somebody else? So when you think of bringing that same kind of concept within your systems, it's very important that you have a clear understanding of what it is that you're telling the customer, which means what is the data on which the AI model is going to be trained on. The general purpose ChatGPT and Bard is kind of trained on open data, but when you think at 12 months ahead, 24 months ahead of providing that same experience on your website for the guest to conversationally book your amenity that you have to offer, it's important that it is trained on your source data and not your competitor's source data. So having systems that are providing a comprehensive view of data and then training your AI model on that data is the foundational underpinning on which your AI strategy should be based. You do not want to give up that unique aspect to a general purpose engine, which could come and suggest a competitor's hotel to book for your guests.
Yeah, Rohith, and what I would add to that as far as the revenue management perspective is that the data accuracy is going to be paramount if AI is to fulfill its promise for hospitality. Modern RMSs are going to need to ingest more data faster, quickly assess the data's predictive impact, and when and where appropriate, use that data to make better pricing recommendations and improve forecast accuracy. Because if it's not doing any of those things, then it's not worth doing.
Other side of that.
Rohith, I was just going to add, and you can certainly add on to this as well, is I know when I was CIO, one of my biggest angst when I was looking at the data is, you have front desk staff entering in, passport, or like they're using the address fields, for example, and the guest information fields for completely different but convenient at the time of transaction. Yeah. Data capture, and so having that clean, accurate data, it's not just a technology; it's also about training and educating your frontline staff about the need for entering and capturing this data in a high quality way as well.
Yeah, and how does your system kind of enforce that at that last centimeter of interaction or the last meter of interaction, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's when you're talking about dynamic pricing, Larry. I have one of my customers who's looking at dynamic pricing of their menus. So while the system can change a menu pricing like every second, you run into operational considerations, right? Like how frequently can you print your menu? How do you train your staff on how to talk through the specials and what the pricing is? So you have to be cognizant of, like you said, Larry, how does that AI recommendation or what your system is doing translates into your operational element? How do you enforce those operational rules and ensure that the entire organization is kind of aligned with what is happening?
I mean, along those same lines, are there any additional specific steps that hoteliers can take to make AI, useful and actionable within their firms?
And I'd say the first thing is choosing the right partners. Choosing the right partners to work with that who have a view of what you need to do today and what is the process by which you'll get to that endpoint in a comprehensive manner, right? I've seen a lot of customers who like one unique element, and Larry, you probably lived through this dream where one team decides this is the greatest thing in the world, completely ignoring all the other aspects that are involved in running a hotel. It's about having a comprehensive view of your solution set that you're trying to drive and choosing the partners who kind of look at it from a holistic manner. I think it starts with that, and then choosing the right AI models. You give a very good example of what generative AI is, but there are a lot of AI models out there right now, right? Facebook has open source some models. OpenAI has its own models. There's a lot of models. Choosing the right model that is relevant for the hospitality industry is, I think, also going to be important. It's still kind of to be determined what that model will be. There are a lot of teams working on different options, but I think choosing the right partners who have a comprehensive view and choosing the right models is kind of the stepping stone that sets you up for future success.
Rohit, I would
Tim,
add to that.
anything to add?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. I think it's important that the hoteliers capture, own, and analyze the guest data at every stage of the guest journey, from pre-planning through departure, and making sure that that is not outsourced to third parties, but instead held in-house and synthesized and then used to make better decisions about those particular guests. And there's one of the barriers to adoption of loyalty pricing, I think, has been there was no kind of formal way to capture total guest value or total guest spend. And so one of the building blocks would be to think about, how am I going to collect and standardize as much information as I can about my guest?
And as surprised as I was, I mean, maybe Tim, you already know this, but as surprised as I was when we were doing research, on the low penetration of revenue management systems in hoteliers globally, can you share maybe a little bit about how revenue management and PMS solutions can work together to really contribute to to data and AI usefulness and obviously unlocking value in hotels?
Yeah, sure, Larry. So I think obviously a person with a spreadsheet or a team of people with a spreadsheet, as good as they might be and as much as they might work, they're not going to be able to keep up with the power of a system and a platform backed by sophisticated algorithms and data analysis, all the heavy lifting being done before it's even surfaced to a director of revenue to make pricing decisions or approve pricing decisions. I think one of the things that we've worked on with our partners at Agilysys is how we can, as Duetto, ingest more data that they have in their PMS system, which of course is goes beyond the information that we do get, which would be bookings and inventory and future reservations, cancellations, and things like that, but also, for example, what they spend when they're on property. So all those transactions that get posted to a guest folio, Well, since that information is in the PMS, it's important for Duetto to have that information so we can know by segment, for example, how much guests are spending on non-room amenities, whether that be food and beverage, spa, golf, and so on and so forth. Because without that piece of the puzzle, we really don't have the best, most holistic view of what a guest, what a particular guest, and what a segment is worth in terms of profitability.
And what's also important is crunching that data and then making that actionable, right? I mean, you spoke, Larry, about attribute-based selling, kind of expanding that further out. It's all the non-room inventory that's also available, right? And how do you kind of surface that up to be sold and then provisioned and serviced up, right? If you have ordered for champagne and roses to be delivered every morning, how do we make sure that one, you were given the option to purchase that, like the revenue management system was able to identify you as a segment that might be interested in it, given the option to purchase that, and then how do we kind of close the loop by making sure it's delivered to your room every day? So it's kind of, again, like we've been reiterating, taking a comprehensive view of the solution set is what matters.
And so what are some additional, perhaps fundamental prerequisites that organizations need to do to really achieve all these goals?
I think it first starts by being an organization that is focused on data, that understands the data that exists in the organization, like Tim mentioned, has a way to collect and synthesize that data, and then being able to operationally adapt their operational goals based on what the data is saying. I mean, we've all lived through examples where the system is recommending you to do something, but if you choose to completely ignore it, then you can't blame the system for saying it did not do what it said it will do, right? The organization has to be an organization that from the highest levels down to your front desk staff, to your server, is kind of aware of the importance of capturing data and then taking action on that data. So I believe though, and choosing the right partners and being adaptable. If anything, COVID has taught us is being adaptable is the key to survival. I think over the next 3 to 4 years, we are going to see use cases of AI that you probably cannot imagine today, right? Like I believe we are in that same fundamental shift. We were in the early 2000s when internet was coming about. Yeah. Today, we can't imagine life without internet, like Google and all of that is just an integrated part of what we live. And I think when you look 5 years, 6 years from now, there are going to be certain aspects that are just going to be the way we do business. It's not going to be something different. So being adaptable to that change, I think, is going to be key for survival.
And I would just add as well that so Infotech has new research on this concept of an exponential IT, where there is a confluence of technology, whether it be cloud, mobile, digital. When you combine that with impacting how businesses operate, and especially you start looking at artificial intelligence, it really creates an opportunity to disrupt and transform industries. And one of the things we continue to hear about is the challenges of hiring and retaining staff in hospitality, and that next wave is all about autonomization. In some cases, you'll still have a human in the loop, as it were, but there are going to be business processes where the system is essentially going to take it over and be relatively autonomous. And revenue management, Tim, I'd love to get your perspective on that, because as we were talking, the amount of data that's coming in and that real-time nature, to your point, a spreadsheet and a person can no longer do that. Can you maybe just sort of share your perspective on what's needed?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's, as you say, there's far too much data to analyze when you look at the number of days, the number of room types, the number of segments. It's just nothing that a human could keep up with, and so it's important to have a system in place that can that can handle a lot of that. One of the things that we've seen on the Duetto side is a focus, and one of the areas where we're focused is not just dynamic pricing, which by this point, right, anyone with an RMS is going to be doing some fashion of dynamic pricing, but getting beyond dynamic pricing to dynamic optimization. So dynamic optimization is when your system is kind of taking the pulse of data that's coming in and then seeing an anomaly and then kicking off a pricing optimization process that would result in rate changes and or forecasting changes. And so the only way to do that, of course, is with a modern system capable of scaling to that amount of data that's going to be constantly coming in from the PMS, from the booking engine, from, in the case of Duetto, one of the things we're working on is third-party data sources like Expedia market data and event intelligence from PredictHQ. So taking in all of that data and then the system identifying that there's an opportunity, a revenue opportunity to capture, not then waiting for somebody to approve it or hit the publish button, but instead to automatically make that rate change and get that rate change out across the distribution landscape to the PMS, to the CRS, and onward for bookings before that revenue opportunity is gone, because it will go in seconds or minutes potentially.
And it really is, changing the way hoteliers and certainly revenue management operates in the hotel, right? And from a timeliness perspective, and leveraging this technology to really recognize and dare I say rev up that revenue for the property. So maybe an additional question would be, I covered off 3 specific use cases that we see as having the most disruption and revenue potential upside within the next few years. But AI is still, and especially generative AI, is still very early in its life cycle. What other use cases perhaps are each of you experimenting with in your solutions, and maybe what are some of your customers asking for?
Yes, some of those, just to touch on the previous point about value-based activities, Larry, just to close that loop there. One of the things I think, like you mentioned, is going to be important as labor gets constrained. You want labor to focus on activities that drive value. And I think it's very important to define what is it that's driving value, right? What is it that's driving value to your customer? And I think tools like Duetto, tools like Agilysys can help you automate or simplify all the non-value driving activities so that the employees can really focus on driving value to that guest experience, right? All the stuff that you might do in the back office, while important, doesn't really impact the guest experience. So if you can automate that using tools, it's something that you should really look at. Now coming to your question, a couple of things that we are working on, and I've seen some of my customers take advantage of, kind of baby steps. A lot of today, I think AI can help you with creating images that represent what you're looking for. A simple example is when you have online food ordering, having an image that represents your meal that you're trying to sell has been shown to increase the chances of people buying. But the number of people who struggle to get high quality images of that special that chef has prepared, and they end up just putting a standard text out there. Today, AI can actually generate that image for you. Midjourney and DALL-E can generate that image for you so that you can use that in your online ordering platform. Very simple use case. You own the rights to that based on how these guys are defining the rights. But that's a very simple use case that you can start dabbling with. We built our own AI chatbot that we are using for our support agents so that they can answer any query that a customer is asking by looking at the information that's available across the entire organization at different sources. And then we are also now kind of monitoring how good that model is so we can improve upon it. So there are smaller use cases that I think you can find immediate use for, so you can kind of get your feet wet of using UI within your organization as you ready yourself to kind of expand as this technology comes to the forefront.
Yeah, Rohit, I would agree. I think continuing along the theme of a simple, provable use case for generative AI, one of the areas where we've seen some interest from our customers, and we've kind of wireframed out what this might look like, is a chat, a GPT plugin to our group optimization and quotation tool. So anyone who's a hotelier knows there's always a little bit of tension between sales and revenue management when it comes to setting rates for groups. And so one of the things that we are thinking about conceptually is, how do we surface the explanation of why a particular group was quoted a particular rate? And there's obviously going to be a lot of factors that go into that, but being able to present that in such a way, conversational way, to the sales managers, so they're able to very clearly understand, why the system is recommending a particular rate. It might be demand for the hotel, it might be what the group has paid in the past, it might be competitive pricing, it could be any number of things. But having that visibility available to the user without necessarily having that person or those people, the revenue manager and the director of sales, have to communicate and collaborate. If the information is there in the system, let's surface it in such a way that it's consumable and making both roles more efficient and focus on more value-added tasks, rather than something so simple as, well, why is this group being quoted this rate?
And I think that comes back to sort of that human in the loop sort of concept, right? Is the transparency and the explainability of the AI outcome is still going to be needed. No, whether it be revenue management, why did the tool recommend this rate, right? Whether to be group or to the website or to the front desk agent, right? I think having that explainability and transparency is going to be key. So maybe with that, let's open it up to the attendees and jump into some Q&A here.
Great. Thanks, Larry. That was thanks, Larry and Tim and Rohit. Great content, great session. And, I know people have learned a lot. I certainly learned some. I've got some questions here, and I'm going to just start asking, and we'll see where we go from there. So here's one. Larry mentioned hyper-personalization on one of his slides. How important is it to a property, and how can hoteliers achieve this with your solutions?
I think catering to each individual as an individual is a fundamental core tenet, right? And hospitality has always striven towards that, like Larry mentioned, the segment of one. And it starts fundamentally with identifying who that guest is wherever they are in the property. So within the Agilysys ecosystem, we have created a microservice that we call as a profile service that no matter where the guest is interacting with you, it tries to go and identify who that guest is. So that's the foundational block to say, I know who you are, what you're doing, and then being able to consolidate all the data, feed it with partners like Duetto, to then have a comprehensive view of what that spend of that guest is, what their preferences are, to then be able to drive it back down. But for us, it's been a lot of work to make sure we have a unified data model that can uniquely identify a guest and then surfacing that up for other systems.
Yeah, I'd add to that, Rohit, that as you know, Duetto and Agilysys have always been at the forefront of personalized loyalty pricing, where guests are going to be offered a rate that is personalized based on their value as well as demand for the hotel. And when you take that data and you combine it with the guest preferences, you're able to really drill into and focus in on a guest willingness to pay, which is obviously a core facet of revenue management, takes it down to the micro level. So I think that's something that the two companies have collaborated on, and it shows great promise.
And I would just add as well, again, that AI and generative AI component, whether you have 50 people in your hotel or 100, 150, or in Vegas, 2,000 plus, being able to hyper personalize when they're on property, a front desk agent or somebody is not going to be able to recognize and acknowledge all of those people coming through the property. So leveraging the technology and the tools and this AI and generative AI to automate and identify and create this recognition is really just one facet of hyper personalization.
Yeah, and Larry, one of the things we have noticed is the industry is so driven towards getting a customer to come stay at our hotel or come on property. Mm-hmm. But there's significant opportunity of how do you increase the wallet share while they're there, right? Taking Vegas as an example. How do I make sure they're spending in my property rather than in the neighboring property? So there's a lot of possibilities that generative AI and real-time access to data and having that interaction with that guest opens up. So you don't end up giving up revenue to an OTA to get them there, but don't capture all of that revenue information.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, because there is some questions about OTAs in the chat thread here. It's take the use case approach when you're approaching AI and generative AI, because when you look at these use cases and map it to the customer journey, pre-booking, arrival, on property, departure, etc., post stay, the ability for these tools to enhance and optimize really all parts of this journey. We're not advocating for boil the ocean and try to do it all, but you need to identify where the most return is going to be. And when we talk about how do we differentiate from OTAs, generative AI has a lot of potential there about improving your marketing, right? Making sure it's more targeted pre-stay, making sure that even things like SEO, search engine optimization, so that your property and your rates are higher in this search, in that pre-booking research phase that our travelers do. So there's a way to stack, leverage the technology and stack the opportunities there to drive or pull, I should say, some of that booking away from OTAs.
And there's a big trend towards non-room attributes, right? I think everybody focused on trying to just sell the room, but once you're on property, if you actually go back and inventory what your property offers, there's a lot of non-room experiential related aspects that you can sell that I think the industry needs to start focusing on.
And it really does help fill in some of those revenue opportunities, right? Like in your own existing local market. And that comes back to the WeWork example, right? How can you sell a table and a chair in your lobby to somebody that's working remote, a digital nomad, as it were, or somebody in your local community? So I think being able to leverage the tools and look beyond just that, selling that room and the attributes of that room to the entire property is absolutely going to be key going forward.
Well, I think we've run out of time. I'd like to again thank our speakers for having a great session today. I know it was very lively and we had a great attendance at the webinar. We're going to be sending an email out to all attendees with a link to a recording, as well as additional information about the speakers and how you can ask other questions if you'd like. So with that, thank you everyone, and we look forward to the next opportunity to speak. Goodbye.